So how do I? Okay, it looks like we're live on dads with daughters. I don't bet dads with sons. So I need to do that over again then.
No, we should be live. Did you not do it to the page?
I did the dads with daughters. I don't know about dads with sons.
Yeah, we're live. So we can begin.
We're live on both.
I don't know. I'm just looking at dads with daughters.
Okay. Let me look
Hey,
at dads with
everybody.
sons real quick. All
How
right,
y'all
let's go
doing
for it.
this evening? Matt Kelly and I are here to talk a little bit about a project that's been brewing that many of you have contributed to. It's a compilation of stories that we're calling Fathering Stories. It's an electronic book, an ebook that we're selling on Amazon, Barnes& Noble, and a host of other sites. Matt has been our editor and fearless project manager, but as well as contributor for this project. And so as part of the promotion of the book and helping you all know what's going on in the larger work of fathering together and in dads with daughters, etc. Just wanted to do a quick shout out to interview Matt about the book and share some insights into what happened. So
Yeah.
I hope you're all having a good evening. I know lots of things are going on in the world, so we appreciate you being here with us tonight. If you have questions about the book or questions for Matt and the chapter he's written as we go through this interview, please don't hesitate to give us a shout out, put some questions or comments below, and we'll get to them. But Matt, tell us a little
All
bit
right.
about yourself and how you got involved with this project for us.
Well, Brian, you and I go back very, very far, back to
We
college
do.
days in the same fraternity. So yeah, that's really where the a lot of this began, just with our friendship. But when you and Chris started fathering together, I have daughters, two daughters and a son. Just you have two daughters as well. So you were kind enough to invite me into the early Dads with Daughters community, and we saw,
Yeah,
we saw it just blow up and
yeah.
grow like crazy. So for a while, I was one of the moderators of the group, and as things evolved, um, you and I were talking about just different ideas, projects we wanted to do. Some things kind of revolved around the idea of like a devotional sort of thing for either Advent or Lent seasons of the Christian liturgical year, and eventually arrived at a storytelling kind of thing.
Yeah.
A bunch of us were together at the Dad 2.0 Summit back in DC in February, not that long before coronavirus shut the whole world down. And we recruited a lot of our authors there, guys who are bloggers and writers and such. And I got to room with my co-editor Kyle, and there's just sort of blossomed from there. And this has been a blast. It's been a lot of
Yeah.
work, but this has been
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really heartening. I remember just all the conversations of guys at the conference asking about this project, sharing stories informally with us, but also guys in our group here, Dads with Daughters. You know, there's been many
Yeah,
guys that post some really great not memoirs, but just moments in time with sharing space with their daughter and sharing their stories with us through posts on Facebook. And it's been really great to reach out to them and get the reception of, yeah, I'd love to write more. I'd love to share my
yeah,
experiences, my daughter in this kind of written way. So,
yeah.
but
It's
I
been
would
super
love to
cool.
know, like, if you could tell us a little bit about the chapter you wrote. What did you share in the book?
So my chapter that I wrote is in our section called Birth Stories. And it was about becoming a father for the first time. Guys in general don't do that well with expressing emotions. Some exceptions there, but such a profound experience as becoming a father for the first time,
Hmm.
having your whole world in an instant just completely change.
Hmm.
I In my interactions with other dads, I felt that's one of the areas where we feel safer about saying, "Wow, I was overwhelmed. I was happy. I was scared to death." All the, guys are able to kind of get in touch with emotions a little better there. So my chapter was about um, a day or two after my daughter Kate, who's now 11, was born, going to a Starbucks, across the street from the hospital, seeing people just going about their business and realizing, oh, my whole world has just changed, but they're just going along like I
Yep.
do every day.
Yeah.
And beginning to learn to reconcile that with my new reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when my first daughter was born, we were in the hospital for quite a while due to some complications and other things. And when I went to leave the parking structure where we had left the car like 4 days prior,
Mm.
um, I didn't have the ticket. I had no memory of, any of it. Like it's all a blur, right? Because of just everything that went
Yes.
down. And I'm trying to get out of the parking structure, and they gave me like a voucher thing so I wouldn't have to pay since we had been there for so long, but I didn't know how to, like, I just wasn't computing. And the
All right.
parking attendant could totally tell, oh, new dad, and just waved me through. They didn't even like bother. They're like, he's got a green pass, just let him through.
Nice. That's
Um,
good.
and yeah, I think, but you're right. So often dads, we don't have the same space to talk about the birth story because and rightly so, the woman is doing the vast majority of the work. The
Yes.
mother is, and the nurses and the doctors are all needing to be focused on the mother and the child. Um, but we're there, right? We're going through a roller coaster of emotion, and that's what I
Oh my
loved about
gosh.
your
Yes.
story is this like, okay, everything has changed now, and
Yeah.
what happens next? Yeah,
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother? That show. The
some
very
not a, some episodes, yeah,
I didn't I wasn't a regular viewer, but the very last episode, Barney, Neil Patrick Harris's character, had gotten a woman pregnant, and he was, talking to his friend like, "This is stupid. How can I just meet somebody in an instant and say everything I have is yours?" And the moment he meets his kid, it's just like his face falls, like everything I have is
yeah,
yours. My entire world is focused around you now, and it was,
yeah,
I know people griped about the finale there, but that was such a moment of truth. It was just profound.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember in eighth grade talking with my grandpa, who, many of us in school, we have to interview an older relative kind of thing for history class or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. And, the question I posed to him was like, what was it like becoming a dad or something like that, because I
Hmm.
didn't really know my Uncle Roger very well, but, he's the oldest and all this stuff. And my dad sitting across the room, just kind of eavesdropping on this whole interview. And he just starts chuckling, and I glance at him, and I glance back at my grandpa, like totally clueless as to the profound depth of my question. And my grandpa's just like sobbing. He's just, I mean, my grandpa was an emotional train wreck in a good way. Like he didn't hide
Yeah.
his emotions.
Nice.
And he just started crying. He's just like, oh, Brian, oh, Brian. Um, and he finally kind of collected himself and shared the story. And part of why it was so hard for him to share was so he's a military guy, and they were in San Diego. This is back in the early stages of World War II. So he's stationed in
Hmm.
San Diego, and he was on base, and my grandmother, was across town, and he couldn't get there. He wasn't there in time. And so
Oh
he
wow.
has, that was something he'd carried for so long that he wasn't
Oh
there in the
wow.
room at the moment. He was there like an hour later or something. He's still got
Sure.
there, but and then with my second uncle, he was deployed shortly after his son was born, and in a letter to my grandmother, he said something to the effect of, "I've been gone so long. I hope you're well. I guess I won't ever know what Wayne is like as a little boy." And
Oh
and
wow.
I like my uncle was reading this to me and others shortly
Yeah.
after my grandfather passed away, and we're kind of like going through all of his effects. And my uncle just loses it. My dad loses it. All these other men around me
Yeah.
start losing it. And I think I
Wow.
was 28, 29, not, not
Yeah.
married yet, not even anywhere thinking about having
Yeah.
kids. And again, just kind of completely blows over my brain, goes straight over
Sure.
my head.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, and
And
it's
later on,
just,
and later on, you realize what that's about because it's. I mean,
right.
you can't know what it's like until you're there.
Yeah. But I do, I mean, so you said you have three kids. Was it the
I do.
same? Did you go back to the same Starbucks after each one to see if the world was aware of the monumental shift?
No, no, they were all born in different hospitals.
Oh, okay.
I was living in Clarksville, Tennessee at the time, pastoring a small rural church there when Kate was born. And
Okay.
it was a brand new hospital because if it had been the old Clarksville hospital, the inside of that made you think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, we'd have
Okay.
gone down to Nashville.
Yeah.
And so then Claire was born at a women's children's hospital in Nashville, and then we actually used a midwife service at Vanderbilt University. And Jessica went without any anesthesia or anything for Jonah, which was a whole different experience that she can tell stories about. But no, it was a profound experience, but it was not as new or unfamiliar as it was the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all of my children equally, obviously, but it would the unfamiliarity of it was
Hmm.
more profound with the first one because, like, before I wasn't a dad, now I am.
Yeah.
I'm a dad again with these other two, and it was
Right.
amazing in their own ways. But it was the emotional wallop um, was more profound the first time.
Yeah. And just the weight, that, like you were
Oh
saying
my
with How I
gosh,
Met Your Mother
yes.
moment of like, oh wow, yeah, it all kind of makes it
Oh,
real when you
yes.
just hold this delicate child, even though they're not so delicate, right? Kids are pretty resilient in many ways,
Yeah,
but in those first moments, you're just like,
yeah,
how do I hold this thing that is now
yeah.
mine? And then
When you
yeah,
go home, they're like, they knew we took this, right?
right. Or when
Like,
something goes wrong at home, you're like, can we call the nurse back? Can we have a
yes.
home nurse stop by? Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember the first time I heard about a lactation consultant. I
Hmm.
rolled my eyes and scoffed, and the cave people didn't need that. And then I turned found out how darn complicated it is, and it's like, oh yeah, infant mortality rates were really high back in the caveman days.
I mean,
Like,
it's a
oh,
wonder
stuff I
we've
rolled my
made
eyes
it.
at.
Yeah,
I
as a
seriously,
species. Yeah,
yeah. Oh my,
yeah,
well, I mean, just even seeing my children, as they're toddlers and everything, it's like, how the hell did I make it to adulthood?
right. Well, I mean, you survived fraternity life with me, and I'm sure a
We
whole
both
host of
did.
other
We both did.
shenanigans. Yeah,
Yes, lots of shenanigans.
yes. Well, Matt, I appreciate you taking the lead on this project. I appreciate you harnessing
Yeah,
the power of these stories with members in the group.
thank you.
We'll be doing more of these throughout the next couple of weeks as we build up to Father's Day. With
Yeah,
many of our members here, Simranjeet Singh, Dedan Bruner, um,
yeah,
and members in Dads with Sons. So we just really want to give a shout out as we conclude here, just how much we appreciate you all as members sharing your
mm,
stories with us and elevating the importance of fatherhood in our conversation and in our community. So often, dads get second fiddle in different spaces, and or we're relegated to he's the breadwinner, just let him do his thing, and that's just so
right.
untrue anymore, right? That's just not the vast
No,
experience for many of us here in the community. Many of the dads here are stay-at-home dads. Many of us are experiencing layoffs and underpaying jobs right now given
yes,
COVID, and we're stepping it up at home. And you wrote a birth story, but so many of these stories speak to the adventures that we have, both planned and unplanned, the legacies we're crafting for our children,
yeah,
just the relationships that we're building, the forging, the family unit that comes with um, blood, sweat, and tears sometimes. And so I I'm proud of this book on so many levels, and really
yes,
appreciate
me too.
the care that you and Kyle put into this, and all of our contributors, all the authors and writers out there. So
Well,
if
thank
you're
you. You,
interested,
I mean,
oh, sorry.
you and Chris are the ones that curated the community that these authors came from. My
Yeah,
wife is an acquisitions editor for a publishing company. I know how hard she works to fish in some of these authors. And it was because of the Father and Together community that we had a frankly pretty easy time
yeah,
of getting an absolute all-star lineup of
yeah.
writers that are represented in this book. So you and Chris also deserve a lot of kudos for helping birth this thing.
Sure. No pun intended. Um, if you are
Yes.
interested, if you are interested in getting the book, you can go to fatheringtogether.org/books. There's links there to wherever you prefer to shop and purchase. It is an electronic book, but if you do purchase it through Amazon, there is the Kindle option of getting it printed for yourself. It's a great quick read, about 100 pages, and we endorse it, obviously.
Yes.
But if you're interested in contributing to future stories, we do have a subgroup called Fatherhood Storytelling. No, I'm sorry. Um, I'm totally blanking.
I think it
Storytellers
is
by Fathering Together.
storytellers by
Storytellers by
fathering together.
Fathering
That's it.
Together.
Yes, yes,
I
that's it.
should double check that for the next interview. But it's a group for dad bloggers. It says it's a group for us to share dad blogging and other tips and tricks
Yeah,
and moments of inspiration. So if you're interested
yeah,
in becoming a better writer, if you've never thought about writing but are thinking about it, please feel free to join that subgroup. Reach
yeah,
out to me or Matt, and if you've
yeah,
got a piece that you'd like to contribute to the next book, or post to our blog if it's a short kind of thought, reflection,
yeah.
what have you. We're always on the
And
lookout
to
for stories. Yeah.
and to the dads out there, one of the things worth Kyle and I, my co-editor, and I are thinking about is a volume specifically on what it was like parenting during this whole COVID-19 crisis when we're
Yes.
all in quarantine. One of the writers, Tim Cox, who we'll be doing an interview with him in a couple of days. He wrote a story about his son being born during this time, and all the extra things that were happening at the hospital. Was a
Hmm.
profound story. So I truly believe we can make a whole book, and I hope we
Hmm.
will make a whole book out of those stories.
Yes. We have many more ideas and many more projects to come. So we definitely
Absolutely.
would very much appreciate your voice in raising the bar
Yes.
for what fatherhood is and can be, and the
We want
diverse
to hear from you
expressions of what
guys.
fatherhood is. Yeah. So
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
cool. Well, Matt, appreciate you chatting this evening. I appreciate all
Yeah.
of you listening in. We will see you in the group, and stay safe out there. And
All
happy
right.
early Father's Day too. We'll just start that going
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Y'all take care.
Okay. Bye. No. Nope.